Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees. Welcome to today's session. Today I will share the glories of Sri Damodarashtakam. This is part 5 of the series, and today I will be sharing the glories based on the verse 4 and 5 of Sri Damodarashtakam. Please join us for Guru Prati and Harinam. Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paśyatya Deshatarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha.
Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatadaham vande Shri Gurum Dīnataranam. Jai Shri Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees. Please join us for Harinam. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today I'll be sharing the Glories of Damodarashtakam, part 5, where we'll be covering the verse 4 and 5 of Sri Damodarashtakam. And at the end of this class, in half an hour or so, we'll also be reciting the whole of Damodarashtakam, followed by its verse-by-verse translation. So please, it is very auspicious time to offer lamp to the Lordships during that time when Damodarashtakam is being recited. So please be ready. And at the same time, there was an important question that was asked, that where did it occur? Means, where do we find Damodarashtakam? Which Puran has it? So Shri Damodarashtakam is found in Padma Puran of Shri Kṛṣṇa Devapanya Vyasadev. So he wrote Padma Puran, and within the Puran it was spoken by Shri Satyavrata Muni, and Satyavrata Muni spoke it in a conversation with Narad Muni and Shaunaka Rishi. So sometimes people, they get bewildered. Wait a minute, Vyasadev wrote it, but it was actually spoken by someone else. Similarly, Naraj Pranatatrika. So when we hear about that, how to do deity worship, it was actually instructed by Lord Shiva to Devashi Narad. Well, the name is Narad Pranatatrika. So, people think that it is written by Devashi Narad. No, it has been instructed to Devashi Narad. So many times on the receiving side, the personality get the name. Just like Uddhav Gita was not spoken by Uddhav, right? It was spoken by Lord Shri Krishna to Uddhav, and that was as a message Uddhav has to take to Badrika Ashram. So sometimes, based on Puranas, and there are specific, grammatical way they present it, that it has been spoken, who is the speaker and who is the receiver. So it is also understood like Bhagavad Gita is spoken by Lord Shri Krishna himself. So that's why it's Bhagavad Gita, not Bhagwan Gita. So there are some specific grammatical aspects in Sanskrit that determine and give us a hint as, who's the receiver, and is the name refers to the receiver or to the speaker. So here, Sij Satyavrata Muni, he is the one who is speaking it to Narad Muni and Shaunaka Rishi. So that is an important aspect. And this pastime, that this conversation was captured in Padma Puran by Srila Kṛṣṇa Devapanya Vyasadev. So that is essential to understand. And as we understand, Damodarashtakam. Dam means rope, Udar is stomach. Damodar happens to be the name of Lord Shri Krishna because of this pastime, where he is bound by the love of Mother Yashoda. And rope is just a media to convey that love. And we also discussed in the second verse as how Lord is crying and he agrees to be bound by mother's love, not by that limited rope, but by the unlimited love of Mother Yashoda, Yashoda Mai, with her endeavor, making that endeavor. And while previously she was little disappointed, little upset that Lord Krishna had broken the pot and now he is running away to avoid the punishment, her mood changed when she is trying to bind Lord Krishna with rope, is because the rope is always falling short by 2 fingers. And so she is realizing that the amazing qualities, the unlimited potencies of Lord Shri Krishna, her wonderful child, that even though she can embrace him easily, she can completely embrace him, pick him up, and in her arms she can completely hold him, yet at the same time the rope with which she is trying to tie Lord Shri Krishna is always falling short by 2 fingers, the width of 2 fingers. The first represents our endeavor and the second is Lord's mercy. So we have to make an endeavor. So when Mother Yashoda's mood changed from that mood of lovingly trying to punish Lord Shri Krishna to this surprise and this astonishment that she is astonished at how such a long rope, and she is adding more and more rope to this rope, yet at the same time it's always falling short by 2 fingers. And she is realizing the supreme qualities of her son, Lord Shri Krishna. And seeing the pure love of Mother Yashoda, the unlimited pure love, and her endeavor, constant endeavor. She did not give up, saying that, oh, this is too much. No. She continued to do it because, and now she is perspiring and smiling and is amazed at the same time. Seeing her mood completely transforming, Lord Krishna agreed, he agreed to be bound by her love. And so she was able to tie him to the Urukula, the grinding mortar. Now, I will quickly cover the first 3 verses. As Sage Sratavata, he is starting with Namamishwaram, Satchidananda Rupam. So in the very first verse, he is establishing the supreme, supremeness of Lord Shri Krishna, that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is saying that, oh my dear Lord, you have Satchidananda form. Sat is eternal, Chit is full of knowledge, and Anand is full of transcendental bliss. So all 3, full in all 3 aspects. Now what's the difference? Right? Sometimes people ask. Sat feature is, Brahman effulgence that's coming out from the toe, the nail of the toe of Lord Shri Krishna. The Brahman effulgence has the Sat feature, but it does not have Chit or Anand feature. Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart, has Sat and Chit. Eternal, because Lord expands eternally, and in every living entity's heart he is residing as super soul, as Paramatma feature, as well as between atoms, within each atom, as well as the space between the atoms, the Paramatma is residing. And it is not that he has been divided into many, he has just expanded so that he is everywhere. So that's eternal, and then Chit, full of knowledge. So Paramatma feature has an additional aspect of Chit, full of knowledge. And then Lord Shri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagwan himself, in his beautiful 2-arm form, he has Anand. So again, Satchit Anand. So again, he is full of transcendental bliss. So the transcendental bliss feature is also visible in the very personality of Lord Shri Krishna. Lasat Kundalam Gokula Brajmanam. So Lasat Kundala. So he has these earrings which have the shark-shaped earrings. And sometimes we see Balaji, his form with 2 fishes, pointing towards him. Sometimes people say, why are there 2 fishes? Is it because he has been resting on Sheshanak for far too long that the water from the ocean has come up and some of the fishes have climbed over on his shoulder? Well, no, those are the earrings. And when Lord, he is, carrying out this wonderful sweet pastime, what happens is when he moves his head, those earrings get to kiss his cheeks. So that's the beauty, that these 2 earrings that he is wearing, they are, swinging to and fro, and they get to kiss his cheeks. And so it looks very beautiful, because everybody wants to kiss Lord Shri Krishna. He's so sweet, he's so wonderful in his Bal Gopal form. Yet at the same time, they're seeing that these 2 earrings are able to kiss his cheeks. So, sometimes the devotees, they express their desire through other objects. And that has been expressed by Sage Satavrata. And he is carrying out his pastimes where? Gokula, Brajamana. So in Braj Bhumi, in Gokula specifically, and after this incident of Damodar Leela occurs, Nanda, Sunanda and other elderly cowherd men, we will discuss why that happens. After 2 days, they move to Vrindavan. So they move from Gokul to Vrindavan, as per Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto. So again, this pastime has been repeated many, many times. It's eternally, Nitya Leela, right? These are eternally pastimes which are repeated in many flavors in the spiritual, Vrindavan. And there is one Naimittika Leela, which is occasional pastime that happens in this particular incident, which has been expressed in this Damodarashtakam as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, is where Lord is delivering the sons of Kuvera, Nalukuvera and Manigrava, and that is occasional pastime, which is also part of this Damodar Leela. And Yashoda bhiyo lukha ladhava manam paramishtramatyam taturditya gopya. So Lord is running away after having created a mischief. What was the mischief? That he broke the pot of yogurt that Mother Yashoda was churning into butter. And why did he do that? Because Mother Yashoda kept him aside to save the milk on the stove. And he became upset. And it is said that he's biting his lower lips. So that is like, we know that when someone is angry, when someone does not like things, and especially children, they have this tendency of biting their lower lips in anger. So that has been, and with a stone he broke that. And then on top of that he took some butter that was already churned on top of, in this pot. And then he went, and further after having finished that butter, he climbed an urukula, a grinding mortar, to steal more butter from a pot that was hanging from the ceiling. And he was not just taking it himself, he was giving it to his companions and to the monkeys. And they have been called as transcendental monkeys of Vrindavan, the exalted monkeys. And why is Lord Kṛṣṇa distributing it to the monkeys, the butter to the monkeys? Because he's remembering that these monkeys helped him when he appeared as Lord Ramchandra. So we all are aware of the army of monkeys under the direction, under the command of Sugriv. So remembering that monkeys had served him in previous past time, he is distributing it. So this is also a loving exchange, that Lord is giving the sweet butter. And the sweet butter is very special because it's made by Mother Yashoda. And it's made from the yogurt that was made from the milk, and this milk was Pushpa Gandha. Again, Padma Gandha is one kind of Pushpa. Padma is lotus flower. Pushpa means flower, and Gandha means smell. So it has a fragrant flower, smell of flowers, and especially lotus flower. And with such wonderful milk, which was from some very special cows, Mother Yashoda was getting this milk from, because these special cows were fed, again, Padma Gandha Kusha. So again, the grass that was fragrant. So because they were eating fragrant grass, these cows were giving fragrant milk, very flavorful, rich, smooth flowing milk. And that milk was being used by Mother Yashoda to, turn into yogurt, and finally she was churning it into butter. And why was Mother Yashoda, she is the queen of Vrindavan, why is she taking up all this endeavor? We also covered that Lord Kṛṣṇa is so naughty that he used to go out to the houses of other cowherd ladies and steal the butter that they had kept. And these elderly cowherd ladies would come to Mother Yashoda, and as if they are complaining to Mother Yashoda about the naughty nature of Lord Kṛṣṇa. But in their heart of heart, they desire for Lord Kṛṣṇa to come and steal the butter in their homes. So that is like, they preparing this butter especially for Lord Kṛṣṇa. So everything in the spiritual world is meant to serve Lord Kṛṣṇa. Yet at the same time, Mother Yashoda, after hearing so much complaints, she is making an effort to make the butter. So she is not upset that Lord Kṛṣṇa was stealing the butter from the pot hanging from the ceiling after having climbed on top of the urukula, the grinding mortar. She is more upset that he broke the pot and he ran away fearing punishment. And then the second verse talks about Rudantam muhur netra yugmam rijantam karan bhoja yugmena santarka netram. So Lord Kṛṣṇa, after having been caught by Mother Yashoda, who ran faster, right? That was in the first verse. So when he ran, he jumped off of urukula in the last part of the first verse. Mother Yashoda caught him because she ran faster. And the glories to Mother Yashoda is that even though Lord cannot be caught by yogis, by jnanis, by karmis, only by devotion he can be caught. So he can only be approached and caught by the devotees. And so that is another potency that has been identified, that Lord, He allows Himself to be conquered, being caught by His devotees, and it is because of the love of His devotees. So if you look at it, Harvard Business School's longest research has been on happiness, and they came to the conclusion that relationship is the foundation of happiness. And love is the foundation of every good relationship. So we have to understand. And loving exchanges have been established in ISKCON based on the principles of Srila Rupa Goswami in Updeshamitra, Nectar of Instruction, Srila Prabhupada. In translating Updeshamitra to Nectar of Instruction, he is identifying Dadati pratigahanati guhyam akhyate pritchate bhunjate bhojate chaiva sadvidam priti lakshanam. So what are the signs of loving exchanges? What is the signs of love? Is dadati pratigahanati, giving of gifts and accepting gifts. Guhyam akhyate pritchate, inquiring and conversing about secret matters and sharing those secret matters, so asking, inquiring, as well as, and devotees, they love to discuss the supreme pastime, the sweet pastimes of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, and especially in the month of Kartik, Damodar Leela. So this is where we are discussing Shri Damodarashtakam, the glories of Lord's sweet pastimes. And bhunjate bhojate chaiva, giving of prasadam and accepting prasadam. So here prasadam refers to the foodstuff, the remnants of the food that has been offered, the bhoga that has been offered to the Lordship. And prasad also means mercy. So mercy of the Lordship flows through His devotees, and that's why devotees are sometimes referred to as Lord's mercy personified. Srila Prabhupada has been so many times called as Lord Kṛṣṇa's mercy personified. And also Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because he gave the Yuga Dharma, right? Chanting of the holy name, the congregational chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Bhagavan Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is none other than Radha Krishna together, is also glorified as Lord's mercy personified. So he is personification of Lord's mercy, and he is Lord Himself. So here, Mother Yashoda, she is binding Lord Kṛṣṇa, but he is Rudantam Muhneta Yugmam Richantam. Now Rudantam, Lord is crying. Now it is said that if we have any sorrow, if we have any anxiety, we should approach the Lord, right? He takes away all our tears. Yet at the same time, He takes away all our anxiety, He takes away all our fears, He turns us fearless. And reminds me of an incident when Srila Prabhupada, he was, after the class, as questions being asked, there was a man who was saying that he is fearless. Srila Prabhupada asked him, do you stop when the traffic light goes red? He said, yes. Then Srila Prabhupada said, that in fear, because you fear that you would be in an accident if you don't stop. So the man was completely dumbfounded. He could not respond. And Srila Prabhupada said that we devotees become fearless because we abide by the rules of the Lordship. We abide and we function as Lord desires. Anukulena Kṛṣṇa Anushilanam. Anukulena Kṛṣṇa means in favor of the Lordship. Anushilanam means following in the footsteps of Acharyas. Now following in the footsteps of Acharya doesn't mean he stepped there on the ground, so we have to step on top of him. No. Actually that would be an offense. Following the footsteps can be done two ways. Anukaran and Anusharan. Anukaran means imitating someone. That is not the right way of following in the footsteps. Rather, it's a bit offensive at times. Anusharan is taking shelter of the instructions, understanding what the instructions are, and then following on the instructions, carrying out our activities. And activities can be carried out in three forms: body, mind and words. That's BMW. I just read it. I do not know who said it, but it sounds great, because people who like to own cars, they find it very nice that every one of us already own a BMW. Body, mind and words. So here Lord himself is crying, Rudantam muhurnetra yugmam rijantam. And so he is rubbing his eyes with his two lotus hands. It's because the tears are coming out, and the Lord, in his Bal Gopal form, is fearful of Mother Yashoda. So here, in this particular incident, Lord is taking that position because of the loving exchange to be fearful of Mother Yashoda. He is enjoying this pastime. So everything that we see in this material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. And Lord Kṛṣṇa is the originator of all great qualities and characteristics. So of course, if we get angry, means Lord Kṛṣṇa must know anger. That's how we get angry. Yet at the same time, he is Satchidanand. Simultaneously, he is completely satisfied and he is always happy. Yet at the same time, in this particular pastime, he is crying. So it's starting with this expression of lordship. One who takes away the anxiety, the sorrow, the tears of all the worlds, himself is, in fear of Mother Yashoda, is crying, and he's rubbing his eyes with his lotus hands. And he is Triye Karka Kanta Sthita Gave Damodaram Bhakti Baddham. So again, because of his crying, he is sobbing, and because of the sobbing, his chest is moving with that vibration, and the three lines are appearing on his throat. Now, Acharyas, Srila Sanatana Goswami elaborately explained that this is showing that Lord, he has perfect body. All his parts is neither too fat nor too thin, and he has perfectly, proportion bodily features. And man is made in the image of God. So we should understand that, of course, he is perfect. We are just created in his image, and based on our propensity, we either go very, big, fat, or we can go thin. But Lord is always in his perfect proportioned body, and that is very attractive. So, as Mother Yashoda sees Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, in this fearful state, she immediately realizes she is holding the stick. So she throws the stick on her side, as we can see here, and she takes the dam. So it is when he sees that Mother Yashoda is holding a rope, Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, he is more fearful and he is crying. And he is looking down, he is not even facing her, because he knows that he made a mischief, right? By breaking the pot in anger. So he is accepting that position, he is taking that position because of the love. Yet at the same time, he is going to show his amazing, unlimited potency, because when Mother Yashoda is trying to bind him, the rope she is taking around is always falling short by 2 fingers. And these 2 fingers represent our endeavor and Lord's mercy, Lord Kṛṣṇa's mercy. And we also talked about the analogy where a son sees his father lifting weights every day. So once the son also has a desire to lift the weights. So he goes, but he doesn't have a strength to lift the weight. It just so happened coincidentally that the father came and saw his son trying to lift. So from behind, father places his hands, under the weight and lifts it. And now the son is feeling, yes, I lifted the weight. So who lifted the weight? Is it the son? No, because the son never had enough strength to lift the weight. Well, is it the father? Well, the father would not have lifted the weight had he not seen his son trying to lift the weight. So it is the combination of the two. So yes, we can make an endeavor, but we cannot say that now we are entitled for Lord's mercy. Because Lord's mercy is causeless. It is completely based on his loving reciprocation. And that loving reciprocation we also see in the 7th verse of Damodarashtakam, where Lord, he doesn't just liberate the 2 sons of Kuvera, rather he gives them the love of Godhead. And sage Satavrata is praying to get that love of Godhead. And to invoke the love of Godhead, the process is very simple. All we have to do is raise our hands and call out, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare. And in the third verse, Sage Satyavrata is expressing that how Lord is constantly, immersing the residents of Gokula in the pools of ecstasy, right? Iti driksvalila bhirananda kunde, ananda kunde. So the pools of ecstasy, it is a pond, right? In that, ananda kunde. So kunda is the pond, and normally we see water, but this kund of Lordship is, again, analogy is being given, metaphorically is being spoken rather, where it is filled with anand, bliss, transcendental bliss. And so all the residents of Gokula, they are constantly, of the Braj Bhumi, they are constantly taking a dip in this pool of ecstasy, and they are relishing the sweet pastimes. And it is also being expressed here that it is not in the mood of awe and reverence that Lord can be understood. It is not the mood of Vaikunthavasi. And this is where later verses do refer to these aspects. So the fourth verse, is where this reference has been given. Let me check. So Lord, in the third verse itself, it has been expressed that He is completely conquered by the love of His devotees. So it is love conquers all, we all know. But love conquers all is completely it conquers the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So with love, when we serve, with love, with care, with attention, with absorption and affection, when we are fully attentive in serving the Lordship, it enables us to be in a position where Lord, because of His causeless mercy, can bestow us the love of Godhead. So that is the mood, with which we approach. And here in this pastime, being bound by the love of Mother Yashoda and being bound by the love of the residents of Vrindavan, not just Mother Yashoda, Radharani and the Sakhis also bind Him, in another pastimes, and many times, not just once. And Lord Kṛṣṇa means many times the gopis would say, elderly gopis, they would come and say, oh, Kṛṣṇa, we'll give you this sweet, why don't you dance? And to get that piece of sweet, Lord Kṛṣṇa, as a baby, as a toddler, he would dance also. And everyone would clap, as he's dancing and looking at his beautiful form, his lotus-like eyes, his curly black, hair on the locks of hair on his face, his reddened lips like bimba fruit, and his sweet smile with like a, string of pearl. He would be enchanting the residents of Gokula. So now comes so it is not with the awe and reverence that he can be conquered, but rather by love of his, pure love of his devotees. He can easily be conquered. And so with great love, Sage Satyavrata is expressing that, he is offering of obeisances to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times. In the fourth verse, Sage Satyavrata is expressing that, my dear Lord, O Lord Damodar, you can give all kind of benedictions. Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va nachanim ganiham vareshadapiha. Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim. So he is saying that you can give all kind of benedictions, but I do not want these benedictions of liberation, of merging into the Brahman effulgence. So we understand, as Srila Prabhupada has given in his purpose, that Mayavadis are constantly seeking to just merge into Brahman, and their concept is that we are all gods, so when we merge into Brahman, we become God. And that's the greatest offense, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals. And we should be very careful not to commit any offenses. And so Sage Satyavrata is expressing that I do not want this impersonal liberation, which is the eternal feature of the Lord. Why? Because it is devoid of that servitorship, right? While our nature as living entities, Jivera Sarupaya Kṛṣṇa Nityadas, we are eternal servant of Kṛṣṇa. So by merging into impersonal Brahman, we are devoid of that service, we are devoid of our true nature. And how can we be happy when we are not situated in our true nature, when we are not in our very element? So when we are in our element, everything is going to be very nicely done. But when we are out of our element, there will be a lot of dissatisfaction, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of miseries, and they will constantly torment us till we align ourselves with the wish of the Lordship and serve Him with love and devotion. So here in the 4th verse, Sage Satyavrata is praying that I do not want this personal liberation, nor do I want the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha. So at Vaikuntha planet, the residents of Vaikuntha, they are constantly serving the Lord, but the mood is of awe and reverence. And in Damodar Leela, the 2nd verse has clearly revealed that you cannot win over the Lord with awe and reverence. Rather, it is only with love, with devotion, He can be conquered. He allows Himself to be conquered by the devotees. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yamanya chashmi tattvataha. So Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita that my devotee knows me in truth, tattvataha. So only my devotee knows. He is clearly identifying that it is not the yogis, it is not the jnanis, it is not the karmis who know me, it is bhakta, my devotee knows me in truth. So from that mode, we want to engage in devotional service. And devotional service is an active engagement. It is servitorship, to serve and satisfy, to seek pleasure of Lord Shri Krishna, not the pleasure of our senses, but of Lord Shri Krishna. So he is saying that I do not even want any other boon. So first he is rejecting, Brahman, liberation, to merge into Brahman. Second, he is rejecting to even attain Vaikuntha. Vaikuntha. Kuntha means, miseries. Vaikuntha is place there is no misery. So he doesn't want that no misery state because it is just neutral, right? It is like a level 0. Rather, he is saying, I want what? Now he is rejecting the 3rd level. What is the 3rd level? That he does not want to be to get any other boon which can be obtained by following the 9 processes of devotional service. So what are the 9 processes of devotional service? Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. Shravanam, hearing. Kirtanam, chanting the glories of the Lordship. Smaranam, constantly remembering the Lordship. Pada Sevanam, serving the lotus feet of the Lordship. Archanam, deity worship, performing deity worship, worshipping the Lordship. Vandanam, singing prayers to the Lordship. Dasyam, being a servant to the Lordship. Sakhyam, being a friend to the Lordship. And Atmanivedanam, surrendering everything in the service of the Lordship. He is saying, I do not want any of the boons that can be obtained by performing the 9 processes of devotional service. And when devotees sometimes they read this, they are shocked, right? Because the complete philosophy is based on carrying out the 9 processes of devotional service. And of course, in the 11th canto, Shukdev Goswami also adds 2 more ways we can engage in devotional service: reading and writing. Now these 2 characteristics are very specific to the Kali age. That's why he adds it in the 11th canto. So he is saying, Sage Satyavrata is praying that I do not want any of the boons. The only boon I want is that you are this beautiful form of Bala Gopal in Vrindavan may ever be manifested by heart. So he is asking for the topmost boon if we pay attention. So Golok Vrindavan is the topmost spiritual planet. So yes, with 9 processes of devotional service, you could go to any other planet, but he is even asking for the topmost level. So this is where we hear, and Acharyas reveal this mercifully to us, that why go for small benedictions? Why don't we go for the topmost benediction? And this is that a devotee does not want to just attain something to enjoy. Rather, a devotee is constantly seeking to serve the Lordship. And every one of us get attached to the sweet form of babies. And here, Lord Bal Gopal form in Vrindavan is the sweetest of all. And with his wonderful Ashtakali and Nitya Leelas, it's constantly immersing the residents of Vrindavan in the pools of ecstasy. So he wants to enjoy, but at the same time, how they enjoy? By constantly seeing Lord Kṛṣṇa carrying out sweet pastimes with his devotees. So he's asking that this Bal Gopal form of yours in Vrindavan, it may be ever manifested in my heart. So I should never forget Kṛṣṇa. And these are the two important rules. Always remember Kṛṣṇa, never forget Kṛṣṇa. Right? Smartam satatam Vishnu vismartavyo na jatuchit. Sarve vidhi nishedhasyur etayor eva kinkara. And all other rules and regulations and prohibitions, they are just subservient to these two rules. What are these two rules? Always remember Kṛṣṇa, never forget Kṛṣṇa. And that's what Sage Satyavrata is asking. But when we say topmost, Srila Prabhupada used to give this analogy that if, somebody has 1 rupee, somebody has 5 rupees, somebody has 10 rupee, and then somebody has 100 rupees. So if somebody has 100 rupee, that 100 rupee has 50, 20, 10, 5, 1, all of them in it. So this is where says Satyavrata, he's asking for the topmost boon, where all other mallows, all other opportunities are there from the lower planets. Again, in the spiritual planet, everything is said to be absolute. Yet at the same time, he's seeking in the mood of service. He's seeing that how Lord is conquered by service, how he is conquered by love, loving service, the sweet pastimes. Now, it may be asked that what form is this that Sage Satyavrata is asking? So he reveals it in the 5th verse of Shri Damodarashtakam. He is saying that idam te mukhan bhojam atyanta nile vritam kuntale snigdha raktasya gopya. So he is revealing the beautiful form that he wants to have ever manifested in his heart. And he is saying that, my dear Lord, your lotus face which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red. Now, the red kumkuma came because Mother Yashoda was feeding milk to Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So from her, the red kumkuma came on the locks of hair of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. And when he is crying, at that time, Mother Yashoda, seeing that Lord Kṛṣṇa is crying, so sometimes people, they say, oh, she is giving him a time out. Actually, Mother Yashoda is more worried than, instead of punishing, because she always had the stick, but she did not use it because she was making a show of punishment. Rather, her time out is that Lord Kṛṣṇa would get into some or the other trouble. So she wanted to keep him out of trouble. That's why she is binding him to the Urukula. And then her intention was to go and take care of that broken pot and clean up the mess that Lord had created. So here, Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa is being bound. And like, Mother Yashoda, she's as a reflection of her love, she's doing this. A mother, when she sees that the child is naughty, wants to discipline the child so that the child's future is saved and the child has the right way of behavior. Reminds me of a story that Srila Prabhupada used to share. Once there was a boy, his parents died, so he was put under the guardianship of his aunt. And the boy, from the early age itself, you started stealing. He would go to school and he would steal his classmates' pencils, books, and he started stealing at other homes as well. And the aunt would always praise him instead of correcting him. So she would say, oh, this is very nice, you're getting all these wonderful things without having to work so hard. This is very nice. And so it just so happened that when he went out, he became a thief. And when he went out to steal once, he committed a murder. He killed someone. And so he was apprehended by the law, law enforcement agencies, and he was brought in front of a judge, and the judge sentenced him to death, to be hanged till death. So he went to the jail, and after some meditation he realized what has happened. So he called for his, when his aunt came to see, he said, "Aunt, come close." He asked her to come close to the, through the bars in the prison house. And when she came very close, he bit her ear, and the blood started oozing out. She went out crying, and he said that if you had not pampered me when I was stealing, I would not have been in this state. If you had disciplined me from the very early age, I would not have been. So that is the true mood of a parent, is to discipline the children early on so that they have, disciplined life, they have good behavior, they are contributing member of the society, they are always respectful to others and others' properties, and they understand that everyone has been given a specific quota by the Supreme Lord, and we should just be satisfied with what we have received. So as a good member of the society, it is very important for parents to instill these qualities. So Mother Yashoda, with that mood, that Kanha, my dear son, Lord Kṛṣṇa, Bal Gopal, is actually creating all this mischief. So many elderly cowherd ladies are coming to tell me that he is stealing. I myself saw him stealing the butter, by climbing onto the urukula, and that he is creating some mischief. He is breaking the pots, and when the elderly cowherd ladies, they come and complain about him, that he pinches their children when they are sleeping at night, when he goes out and doesn't find, the more butter. So she is trying to correct Lord Kṛṣṇa's behavior, because she truly believes that Lord Kṛṣṇa is her baby, her son, and he can get into trouble, and he, may have to face some hard times if he is not corrected. So that's why she is binding him by urukula. And this is the form where Lord Kṛṣṇa, his lips are red like bimba fruit. His, the lock of hair on his face tinged with red. This beautiful form of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, with fearful looks in his eyes, this beautiful vision of his lotus face is what Sage Sattvaṭa is saying may ever be manifest in my heart. And he's saying that thousands and thousands of, sometimes we refer to as koti pranam. So similarly, thousands of thousands is, a million. And thousands has been used. So he's saying that many, many other benedictions are of no use to me, because I want to have this benediction, to have this beautiful form of, Bal Gopal and Vrindavan in this Damodar Leela to be ever manifest in my heart. So this is where the 5th verse is being covered and being identified. So of all the benedictions possible, Sage Sattvaṭa is praying with love that, my dear Lord, I want to get only one boon, that this beautiful form of Bal Gopal and Vrindavan be ever manifest in my heart. And this is in a loving mood. So he is reciprocating, he is understanding the mood of Yashoda Mai. He is understanding the sweetness of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa, having this loving exchange with his mother, he is agreeing to be bound by her love, by her unlimited pure love. And this sweet pastime is where Sage Sattvaṭa is expressing that one who is inconceivable has inconceivably agreed to be bound, in this inconceivable situation, where he who takes away the tears of others is himself crying. He from whom the fear personified is afraid is himself fearful, and he is agreeing to be bound by his mother's pure love. So it is love that conquers all, and love can be expressed in many ways. And here Mother Yashoda is kissing his sweet face, the sweet face of Lord Shri Krishna in his Bal Gopal form again and again. Why? Because she doesn't want Krishna to become fearful of her. Rather, she is trying to explain, her actions are reflecting that she is looking for the welfare of her child, of her son, who is actually bestowing welfare to whole humanity. Mother is trying to look after the welfare of Lord Shri Krishna. She thinks that how will he survive without her care, while everyone is in his care. So this is the supremacy of the Lordship. That's why Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he expressed Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, inconceivable potency of the Lordship. Because it is inconceivable to think of the Lordship in this form. And Sanatana Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita, he expresses the mood of Gopakumar, as how Gopakumar had been going from Vaikuntha planets further up to Mathura and so forth, and finally receives complete satisfaction when he reaches Vrindavan in the embrace of Lord Shri Krishna. This is where we would like to end today's glories of Shri Damodarashtakam. Please join us in singing Damodarashtakam, followed by the translation. Hare Krishna. Shri Damodarashtakam ki jai, Kartik Maas ki jai, Damodar Leela ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Damodar ki jai.
Yashoda translation of Shri Damodarashtakam. Together.
Okay, verse 1, Shri Damodarashtakam translation. To the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge and bliss, whose sharp-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokul, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was churning into butter, and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her, who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord Shri Damodar, I offer my humble obeisances.
Verse 2. Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with 3 lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Shri Damodar, whose belly is bound not with ropes, but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances.
Verse 3. By such childhood pastimes as this, he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokul in pools of ecstasy, and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is only conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodar hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the 9 processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Bal Gopal may ever be manifest in my heart, for what is the use to me of any other boon besides this?
Verse 5.
O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair, tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like pimla fruit.
May this
Beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me.
Verse 6.
O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you. O Damodar, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord, be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this poor ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes.
Verse 7.
O Lord Damodar, just as the 2 sons of Kuver, Manigriva and Nalakuver,
were delivered from the curse of Narad and made into
great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope
to a wooden grinding
mortar, in the same way please give to me your own Prem Bhakti. I only long for this and have no other desire for any kind of liberation.
Verse 8.
O Lord Damodar, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes.
Shri Damodarashtakam ki jai, Shri Radha Damodar ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Anant Kori Vaishnavinda ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Kṛṣṇa.
Hare Kṛṣṇa.